So the state that we really want is attachment and biorientation. And the thing that we need to do to achieve that well is a process called error correction. We need to be able to recognize errors and fix them, okay? So biorientation is great. All of those other states over there, they're a problem. We need to be able to come in and address them and make them better. And if you think through the nature of these different states, there's two different things that are distinguish them. One, is there microtubules or not? So this one has microtubules, this one doesn't. That's a pretty easy way to go. But how do we distinguish between this state here and that state there? They both have microtubules bound, so if we were just simply sensing the presence of microtubules, that would be a problem. And I think it's worth coming back again and imagining how these socks are behaving. Here, I'm attached to both. You can see what's happening. I'm just holding on to them. Here, I'm attaching to both, and I'm actually pulling on them. And so I'm pulling on them in such a way that when the sister chromatids actually do separate and separates eliminates them, they're just going to go pop like that. But actually, because I'm pulling on them in that way, I'm actually being able to generate force. And I'm being able to generate force going in two different directions, which means that I can create tension. So the thing that actually distinguishes these states is force. So force distinguishes, for example, syntelic state from the bioriented state. And so when I have opposing force, that is a key way to be able to read out this situation. So in the mechanisms of, when we describe force production, for example, by microtubules, we discussed just how much force a depolymerizing microtubule can generate. That's wonderful, but actually it's generating much more force than the cell possibly even needs to move a chromosome. So even though chromosomal units are large, just to be able to move a chromosome through the viscous cytoplasm, you probably need on the order of about 1 piconewton of force. However, cells are actually being able to generate as much as like 1,000 piconewtons of force on a kinetochore. The way that that force is used is part to be able to distinguish this way, okay? So in this case, if there is no force, that's a problem, and this creates a signal. And that's going to then turn the kinetochores off. Okay? But when there is force, so yes, force, this is going to protect and preserve the kinetochore microtubule attachments. So coming back to these drawings over here, if I'm the cell, this is pulling in two opposite directions, this way and that way. There's a lot of force there, and I'm saying, OK, that's fine, that's good. But I can come over here now, and I can recognize this state right here, and I can be like, that is a problem. You're not giving me any force. And so I'm going to come in here and basically just do this. I'm going to eliminate those attachments, and I'm going to let you try again. And so if we come back to this ground state where we're unattached here, I can come in, I can shoot out microtubules. They're very dynamic. We know they grow and they shrink. So it's basically like casting out a fishing line. Every once in a while, they're going to contact that kinetochore. And then if I can do that again, cast out a line and contact that, now this will be protected. Now this is going to be bioriented. However, if I get it wrong again, and I'm this syntelic state, I'm going to be able to recognize that. There's still no force. I'm going to come in and I'm going to shut that down again. Okay? And so basically, the key thing that we're going to do is get rid of the kinetochores and basically get rid of the microtubules attached. I'm going to abbreviate this here as MT for microtubules. So we refer to this process as distinguishing these as error correction. And there's a key player that's an important part of this, which is a kinase called Aurora B. And Aurora B is going to be able to read out this force. And it's still slightly controversial how you do that, but I think that there's so much force that it can actually really deform parts of the kinetochore and inactivate the ability of Aurora B to phosphorylate its substrates. And so basically here, when there is low force or no force, Aurora B activity for its substrates is high. But when there is high force, its activity is low on the substrates. And so in this case, you can actually just really use force as input, as a molecular signal, in the same way that our signal transduction pathways detected ligands. Here, this signal transduction pathway is stimulated by the presence or absence of force. And in this case, now we can go in and use this to affect a change. So in this Aurora B, for example, as a kinase, it phosphorylates a key component of the kinetochore. And this is a protein called NDC80. This is the major conserved microtubule binding factor at kinetochores. So when NDC80 is phosphorylated, it's off. It turns off its ability to hold on to that microtubule. But when it's dephosphorylated, you can turn it back on. And so in this way, we can drive forward these major transitions and events by allowing you to capture and then release.